accident. When I was a kid, I used to think it was God's will.
I can't see! I can't see!
Murdock and Nelson, attorneys at law.
Nelson and Murdock. Sounds better.
He made each and every one of us with a purpose, didn't he? A reason for being.
Coming out! God knows I want you, but you don't get to destroy who I am!
Then why did he put the devil in me? Why do I feel it in my heart and my soul clawing to be let out?
That this city rejected you! It beat you! I beat you!
I'm not seeking penance for what I've done, Father. I'm asking forgiveness for what I'm about to do. I don't get to choose who I am. I'm Daredevil. Not even God can stop that now.
Taste. Exquisite. Developed. Refined. Taste as a sense can only be fully realized as time passes and experience forms the foundation of your very being. As the hourglass drains on my 22 years of age, my palate has grown to be exquisite, refined, and developed, only allowing the purest of material to be graced by its embrace. So when I tell you that Netflix's Daredevil is fucking gas, you just need to trust me on this, bro. I've tried to write this video 3 times now. First, I thought I was gonna go episode by episode and analyze and break down all of the little things wrong with this show. Then I thought I would just put these shows side by side and prove my points with epic facts, infallible logic, and the top 10 reasons why Daredevil Born Again sucks. But none of it felt right. None of it did the piece of art that is Marvel's Netflix's 2016's Daredevil the justice it deserves. So just like Daredevil Born Again, I'm throwing out all that bullshit, mostly, and completely starting over, mostly. So this video is receiving a creative overhaul, and I'm just gonna speak straight from the heart. And my heart tells me without a doubt, Daredevil Born Again failed Daredevil. Now you're probably thinking, isn't it too early to make assumptions? This is clearly set up for season 2. Man, shut the fuck up. I'm bored. Watch me cook. You know why you're here, either to have your opinion validated or to get offended. Either way, I don't care.
We'll do it live! Fuck it!
I say all of this knowing, or hoping at least, the new season will be better, but watching these two projects back to back, it isn't even comparable. I really hate to boil it down to something as reductive as old show good, new show bad, but unfortunately this is the biggest case of hydrogen bomb versus coughing baby, to put it in scientific terms, that I have ever seen. And in order to prove it, I'll need to go way back to the very beginning. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth was without form and void. Wait, too far back, way too far back. In 1964, co-creators Stan Lee and Bill Everett created the character Daredevil. At the time, he was no more than a new title on the newsstands to hopefully bring in new readers to Marvel.
Did you ever imagine that Daredevil would last for 40 years? In all honesty, I never thought about it with any of our characters, because it's hard to describe, but in the days that we were doing all these superheroes, when we started them, all that we were concerned about was that the books would sell.
While he never reached the titanic heights of Marvel's golden boys like Spider-Man, X-Men, and Captain America, he slowly over the years developed a cult following with comic runs like Frank Miller's Born Again and Man Without Fear, as well as Brian Michael Bendis, Mark Waid, and Ed Brubaker all having generational and greatly influential runs with the character. Some years later, in 2015, someone at Netflix with immaculate taste, who must have been hiding pretty deep in the cracks because God knows there's little taste coming out of that building, greenlit Daredevil and sparked a passion in fans that still persists to this day. Daredevil came out at a weird time, after the initial spark of the Avengers, but still way before my grandma knew who Thanos was. So it was kind of risky for Netflix to make this, but it was super critical in proving that superhero shows can still be good shows, rising above the mediocre storytelling of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Arrow, Flash, and rubbing shoulders with primetime television television like The Sopranos and Breaking Bad. In 2015, I was 13 and barely able to comprehend the subtext and poetry of Netflix's Daredevil. I certainly enjoyed it. After all, that white boy do be doing some pretty sweet karate. But honestly, I didn't remember much about it outside of it being good and a couple scenes of violence that definitely traumatized a 13-year-old me. I'm fine, by the way, thanks for asking. So I rewatched it, and yeah, go figure, it's still good. Daredevil has a dedication to its characters, story, and world with dynamic storytelling and excellent cinematography, giving us an intimate look into the messy lives of these individuals touched by tragedy, as well as their ambitions, fears, and struggles, and a drive, despite all seeming lost, allows them to see the light and do what must be done to be a hero. It also tackles complex topics like religion, heroism versus vigilantism, moral righteousness, corruption, the failures of the legal system, mental health, and interpersonal relationships, with a cast of characters developed and crafted over the course of 3 seasons of television. And Born Again just isn't that, barely being able to call itself a pale imitation of what came before. Well, at least the intro is good, but not as good as the old one. Fuck! Alright, look, I'm not saying this show is a lost cause. There is some stuff to like on paper. I'm not a fuck the MCU type of guy, but you gotta know the mediocrity of recent projects. Said literally everyone on Twitter. And apparently the people making this show did too, cause halfway through filming they realized, damn, this shit sucks. And BAM! It underwent a creative overhaul, which means that only about 35% of the show is genuinely good, most of that being in the first and last couple of episodes. And I don't know, maybe there's just something broken inside of me that compelled me to break out the Google Doc and write this video, because watching Daredevil and Born Again back to back, all I was left feeling was,
look how they massacred my boy.
so where to start? Where to start? Oh, you know all those characters you loved and wanted to see more of in this spiritual successor? Well, one of them is capped, one of them missed the call sheet for 95% of the season, one of them is in prison, one of them is genuinely just sitting on his ass, and one of them is a cuck. Matt's alright though. Yeah, you like Karen and Foggy? This is Karen and Foggy now. Do you feel old yet? All the old characters get shafted in favor for cardboard cutouts that only serve one purpose. This is the lady who gets irritated at Matt for work. This is the kid who really likes Wilson Fisk. This is Matt's love interest. This is the lady that tells Wilson Fisk no. And this is the disapproving cop who's basically Matt's VA sponsor. You get where I'm going with this? I'm not saying I need a dedicated episode about Buck fucking Cashman, but just give us more of a sense about who these characters are and what they mean to Matt. Matt's relationships with his friends is one of the key tenets of Daredevil and also an area where Born Again fails. It's very important in making me care about the characters and their lives as we follow them. And when looking at their relationships, we can see both what they provide to Matt and what makes them interesting independently. Foggy represents normalcy, stability, and support, absolutely refusing to give up on Matt despite how shitty he treats him. And believe me, it gets pretty shitty. That's what makes him someone you want to have by your side, as well as an amazing character. Karen has such a gentleness to her, embodying kindness, passion, and fierceness, but will still dump a clip into you if needed. A highly capable investigative journalist with an unquenchable desire for the truth, determined to shed light on those who make others suffer, and an excellent example of a strong female character. So, when Born Again takes these characters and trades them in for new ones we have no connection to and provide nothing to the narrative, how can you not expect fans to be upset by this? I get it was for the new viewers and not wanting to have 3 seasons of, frankly, a better show that would make yours look worse by comparison, be required viewing for this new fresh take. But in serving a new fan base, you are slapping the old one in the face. And we're the ones you made this for. Karen and Foggy not being in the show is a pretty big deal when they were a pretty pivotal part in what made the original so good. Like, okay, so for all the normies without the Marveltism, imagine you're watching The Bear, and after 2 seasons, Carmy opens up a completely new restaurant without Sid, without Cousin, without Fack, and just works with complete strangers and never mentions The Bear again. Would you not be confused? And it's not just the characters that leave a lot to be desired, the story is just not interesting in the least. Rather than Matt being driven by a goal, charting his trajectory for that season, you know, like a competently written season of television, Matt just kind of wanders aimlessly with no purpose and no task to work towards. There are a few pockets of good material, but every writing decision has a tiny, itty-bitty little New Avengers asterisk that keeps it from working, and this is most prevalent in the first episode. They immediately start with this weird meta dialogue about how things are changing and feeling dated, which is a little weird. But hey, the gang's back together, we're back at Josie's, and look at this cinematography and filmmaking. And oh look, is Bullseye back? Yes, I love him, more Bullseye. Jingle those keys, Disney. Put those jingly Bullseye keys in my dumb baby consumer face. And is that a hallway fight? Oh, nothing drops my drawers faster than a smexy one-take Daredevil hallway fight. Whoa, did they kill Foggy in the first episode? What a shocking way to start off your new series and establish this is gonna be very different. Oh shit, did Matt just kill Bullseye? Oh, don't cry, Charlie Cox. Wait, am I crying? What the fuck is happening? But here come those pesky little asterisks. Yeah, we have Nelson, Murdock, and Paige back, but who are all these new people? Don't tell me we're replacing these beloved characters for new ones we don't care. We're replacing the characters with new ones you don't care about. Bullseye is here, but this is pretty much all we get until the end of the season. And he only has 2 lines. 3 if you count his little goblin laugh. Killing Foggy is a shocking way to start off and hook people into your new series, but now you can't have him in your show. I'm by no means an authority on Daredevil or his mythos, I'm just a fan of his character and his show, but I feel like you kinda need Foggy in a Daredevil show. He balances out Matt, keeps him centered, as well as being someone to confide in, and an anchor to the real world, outside of the vigilante shitstorms Matt often finds himself in. That's why so many people are theorizing that he's still alive, and as much as I want that to be the truth, he got shot in the chest and we heard his heart stop. I don't really know how he could be secretly alive, but I won't bash the copium. Matt killing, or excuse me, trying to kill Bullseye might seem a bit out of character after we just established he isn't a killer, but Foggy being killed is something I could possibly see Matt crossing the line for, so I'll give it a pass. Honestly, Bullseye should have died when he fell off a fucking building onto concrete. It's not only more grounded, but it gives more merit to Matt not wanting to be Daredevil later in the series. Matt has tried to kill people in the past, so this isn't really breaking new ground for his character.
I'm gonna kill you.
But there's that tiny little asterisk again. Bullseye is too cool and popular and epic to kill off, so the showrunners just folded him up and put him in their back pockets so they can show him off later. Regardless of all these caveats, this opening sequence is some of the best material in the show, and if not for a second, captures the greatness of the old show. But then, we skip to a year later. Oh, what the fuck? I want to see what happens next, not a year from then. Give me that show. I want to see my blind king miserable and depressed. That's what activates my neurons. Show me Matt investigating Foggy's death, tracking down and beating Bullseye, the rift between Matt and Karen, and coming to terms with and overcoming it. That way you can still use Foggy's death as an inciting incident and give it purpose in the story. This whole season would have been so much more interesting if it was just showing what happened in the year past and the struggle that comes with losing your best friend, and how that affects Matt's crime fighting. Maybe Matt becomes even more brutal, taking out his anger, frustration, and loss on the criminal element that took his friend. Why did they think it was okay to have Matt sit on his ass for a full year doing nothing to avenge the death of his best friend? Later in the series, Matt says,
Foggy, he was the kindest, purest soul I ever met. And guys like you and me, we could work a lifetime and never measure up to his decency.
So that just means you shouldn't try? Like, what's the point of your whole vigilante crusade you've been living for years, if not to save lives and live up to that decency? Now, Matt's relationship with the Daredevil mantle has been different over the years. Season 1, it was seen as more hopeful and protective, the devil watching over Hell's Kitchen. Season 2, it was sort of put on trial and critically judged when put up against the Punisher, begging the question, do we really need gun-toting masked vigilantes taking the law into into their hands. And season 3 sees it more corrupted, tainted, and abandoned, with Bullseye posing as Daredevil to commit crimes for Kingpin. But in Born Again, it is just straight up ignored. He abandons it after trying to kill Bullseye, saying he lost the privilege. But it isn't a privilege to Matt. That's the whole point of season 3, that Matt is inseparable from Daredevil. Despite the pain and suffering it brings him, it's his calling to endure and be a hero.
I'm Daredevil. Not even God can stop that now.
But then Black Belt Banksy shows up, and Matt on a whim just says,
Fuck it.
And boom, he's Daredevil again. So you really were just being lazy for real. It just feels so undeserved. You haven't really done anything to earn the privilege back, and you've already been doing vigilante stuff anyways. Do you want to be Daredevil or not? All the audience wants in a Daredevil show is to see Daredevil. So tell me, Kevin Feige, where the fuck is Daredevil? Disney paid God knows how much for a new suit to be made, only to not use it for almost the entire show. And I'm sorry, that's unacceptable. Goofy didn't die for this. While the idea of Matt rejecting Daredevil could be a cool idea, it just feels contradictory given the character's history. But this isn't just Matt's story. He shares the spotlight with his new co-lead, Kingpin. Hey, King Kai, this show is about Kingpin, right?
My fucking name is in it.
So yeah, half this show is dedicated to Kingpin's wacky political misadventures, and it's some of the worst stuff in the show. Here we encounter what I like to call the Wilson Fisk problem. I like Fisk, but he really did not need to be in every season. It makes conflict with him feel less special and wears out the welcome of D'Onofrio's stellar performance. Surely there are some other interesting villains we could focus on, but I know Daredevil's rogues gallery is a bit barren. I mean, there's no way Netflix is going to make an entire season of Daredevil fighting Frogman. I mean, I'd watch it, but still. But I get it. Kingpin is the best and most palatable to a general audience, which is kind of limiting and lacks variety. So New York saw his entire criminal history and collectively said, yeah, I'd vote for him. How is Kingpin able to run for public office when he has been proven twice to be an organized crime boss and serial killer? When he is let out of prison, there are protests in the streets demanding he be put back in, and yet he was still elected as a convicted felon. And there's no way that could ever happen in real life. They did throw in like one line to bat away criticism, establishing a few people are upset about it, but don't really care all that much. I guess no one really cared at all because he's elected in the first episode. This to me is lost potential. Why would you not focus more on his campaign, where you can explore conflict with political rivals, or him battling to keep his criminal tendencies under wraps, or him continuing to run his empire from the shadows while publicly facing his New York savior. That way you can still have him be a central antagonist, do the anti-vigilante stuff, and not waste our time with Fisk just hanging out and monologuing about heroes and villains and the city and doing whatever the hell this is. To give Born Again some praise, the few characters from the old show are fantastic. John Bernthal's Punisher is also back and good as ever. Wilson Bethel's Bullseye, while being a far cry from the glory of Season 3, is still great, despite the literal void of material he is given. And Charlie Cox returning to his character 7 years later feels like he never left. I seriously feel bad for whoever may play this character next, because they will never be able to live up to Charlie's performance. Vincent D'Onofrio's performance is also great, but his Kingpin is pretty noticeably different. He isn't really as intimidating now. Before, you could never tell when he was about to snap, but now he's more lighthearted and weirdly kind of goofy sometimes, embracing his more personable side, entering this new world of politics, until he reaches cartoonish levels of evil by keeping some dude in a cage to laugh at him rather than just kill him like he usually does. It's not only ridiculous in nature, but makes him seem like a desperate, angry cuck. A majority of the writing writing decisions lead to dead ends that kind of just go unaddressed. In a vacuum, the Hector Ayala trial is pretty good, and the idea of Matt representing a vigilante in court could have led to some interesting places given his past with the mask, as well as being tied into later in the season, possibly with a White Tiger Daredevil team up when Matt assembles his pathetic little army in the last episode. But there's only one scene where Matt barely touches on common ground with Hector, and it's honestly one of the best scenes in the show. But his story ends abruptly and unsatisfyingly with Hector being capped and basically forgot about for the rest of the season. Camar de los Reyes did pass away before the show released, so they were limited in what they could do with his character, so I guess I can't hold that against the show. Rest in peace, man. You gave this show a heartbeat, if not even for a second. Muse is also in the show. Dear God, please don't make me talk about Muse. Muse is just awful and a pretty damning caricature of someone with mental health struggles. Are you a scrawny young adult down on your luck and maybe a little depressed? Well, get yourself a mask, start kidnapping people, and drain their blood for your Etsy projects. He is so painfully underdeveloped both as a character and a threat. They'll occasionally cut to him doing some incredibly sketchy shit, but it's not fully explained until the episode where the show decides it's time to address this underlying thing, and by then it's already too late. All of this leads into a seriously lacking season finale with questionable implications. Kingpin declares martial law on New York due to the outbreak of masked vigilantes, shutting off the power to the entire city, and captures every vigilante in cages like pets in his kinky mayoral freak lounge. This might seem like a dire situation to you or me, but they all just kind of seemed a little miffed about it. And Born Again confirms that this isn't actually a big deal, with the Punisher escaping in the laziest, dumbest way possible.
Thank you, Anthony.
Anthony, you fucking idiot. And Matt's entire apartment is fireballed by one grenade. And of course, we had to cap off the season with one little pesky asterisk. The city under siege, Matt must gather those around him to stand up to Fisk. And who does Matt assemble for his street-level Avengers to swing in and defend those in danger? Fucking no one! Guys, this was the alley-oop of the century and you fucked it up. I can understand Spider-Man not being there due to petty rights disagreements, as much as I need to see that before I die. But seriously, why are the Defenders not here? It makes all the sense. The entire show is basically about vigilantes versus the system. And Matt knows 3 other vigilantes in New York that could fight said system. And if you don't want to do the Defenders again, why not introduce more street-level heroes to fill out the roster and reinforce the theme of vigilantes versus the system throughout the season? This is why you don't complain about fan service, because then we get pitiful starting lineups like this, when we could have gotten this. Oh well, at least Karen is back. Maybe she can just shoot Fisk in the face again. And honestly, what I think might be the biggest thing lost in this new series is Daredevil's optimism. Despite all the depressing shit, Daredevil still has an inherent optimism. Matt's life is pretty consistently shitty, but despite all the shitheads, the failure, the moments where you think it's all falling apart, you will be okay. You will see the light. You will get through this. That optimism makes me feel something. Something Born Again does not. Everything is just dreary. There's no real payoff for all the misery. That's just the show. And if you don't really get what I'm trying to say, just imagine watching 9 episodes of Grey. Lastly, I want to touch on the production of the show, because you can literally see the difference between pre and post overhaul. In Born Again, everything has this soulless, flat, white studio lighting that makes it look like everything was shot on the same set. And knowing how Marvel makes their projects, it probably was. Like, it seriously bugs me when you compare it to the beautiful cinematography of Daredevil's 3 seasons. Why is the editing so bad? It will just cut in the middle of the shot, and it's so distracting. The fight scenes are pretty decent, but half of it is covered up by the shitty editing. But occasionally, Born Again will deploy what I like to call slippery slope lock-in tech, where the show gets bored with itself and uses some of the post-overhaul material to bring the viewers back in, insisting, begging, pleading that this is a good show, desperately desperately trying to keep your attention. And when it comes to post-overhaul material, it can almost reach the heights of Daredevil's cinematography. It has its own unique vision, and while not really being that similar to Daredevil, it stands on its own and still has merit. After shitting on this thing for
23 minutes,
Born Again could use all the praise it can get. So there you have it. Born Again failed Daredevil, failed you, failed me, failed my dog. I really didn't make this video out of malice, looking for the newest thing to ridicule. I really wanted this show to be good, and from the initial trailer, I had high hopes, and that disappointment is what sparked this video. I'll still be watching season 2, and I wish the best for it, but my confidence in this show has been shaken by this first season, and it's gonna take a lot to bring me back from this sloppily cobbled together season. The ball is in your court, guys. Please do not fuck it up. Wait, Jessica Jones is in season 2? Holy shit, Faith Restored. Peak is back on the menu.
Welcome to hell, motherfucker!
Oh, you're back. Again? I just wanted to say thank you for all the love on the Ultra Kill video. Now I can die knowing I was a one-hit wonder. There's a lot of new faces around here. I just want to say welcome and thank you for subscribing, and thank you for making it to the end of this video. I don't really have any idea of what my next video is going to be. I don't know, maybe something about manga. I hear that's pretty popular nowadays. But please stay tuned, because it will be coming maybe soonish. I don't know, I'm busy. I know we're kind of living in some strange and scary times right now, but I just want to tell you what honestly I need to hear myself. Everything is going to be okay. Everything will work out. And that might sound like some weird cope, but I don't know, whatever gets you through the day. Like, comment, and subscribe. Good night, New York. Why'd I end it like that? I'm not even from New York.